to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and co-hosting with me is Kathy Medeiros and Ken Demers. I'm very pleased to have Lina Phaneuf. Here's our guest. She does something I've never heard of, and it's very interesting. It combines a few things. It's called human design, and it combines information from astrology, I Ching, chakras, and Kabbalah. And what first interested you about this? Did you have a reading and then you were hooked?
I actually had studied to be a life coach, and then I was adding a few tools to my toolkit. And when I came across human design, I kind of took a detour and didn't look for any more tools because it really encompassed everything that I ever wondered about.
Yeah. Now, is it a tool that helps you better understand yourself, your personality, or your strengths and your weaknesses? Is that how you would
That's very true.
it?
The surprising thing that not only I, but other people that study it as well, found is that we think we're trying to learn more about ourselves, and we end up learning more about other people by knowing what makes us different from other people. And in fact, it helps you to accept and love other people, which is a huge benefit that I hadn't realized was going to happen.
Yeah, I had a young woman who was studying astrology, and she used it to find out about herself and realized she was learning a lot more about everybody else.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
Which is good, absolutely.
So we have a beautiful diagram this is supposed to, she said, I asked her if we could do a mini reading so people could see the influence of the different things there. So I said, well, use me. So
it looks like a tree of life upside down.
That's the Kabbalah.
Perfect, yeah. So the influences that you can see, these symbols here would be the astrological planets. The numbers are from the I Ching. There's 64 gates in the I Ching, and each gate is a different personality aspect. So these numbers are all different gates. And then the numbers, like the 13 here, is colored in over here. So this is a key to help the chart be colored in. And then the shapes, there's 9 of them, but they're taken from the Hindu chakra system. And human design explains that in 1781, 2 of the chakras split. So that's why we have 9 instead of 7.
Wait a minute, say that again. In 1781?
In the year 1781, 2 of the chakras split because as humans evolve, we keep getting more complicated. So,
which one split, and what did it split into?
So there originally were 7, and this is the intuition center, and this is the emotional center, and they used to be together. And they've become 2 separate things. And then this one in this diamond is the identity center, and this is the willpower center, also called the heart center. And they used to be combined, and now they're split. And we will continue to evolve. It's like in 1781, that was a big change, but in 2027, there's going to be another big change.
Now, what was unique about that year?
I believe it was the year that scientists discovered the planet Uranus, and that I can't explain it, but there's something about as we learn about the bodies in outer space, there's
But we knew about this
effects.
stuff thousands of years ago, we just kind of forgot it.
Yeah, there's different things like when Chiron was discovered in 1976. People that were born after 1976, Chiron is a bigger theme for them, or it's a clearer theme for them.
What does that represent?
Chiron's
the wounded healer.
Yeah,
Wounded healer?
it's something that you're here in this lifetime to learn, to master, hopefully. And so those of us born before 1976, our wounded healer was a little bit mysterious for us, but the people, what I was told was if I went to therapy and I was born prior to that, I might spend years talking about my problems, but somebody born after 1976 goes to therapy and they're much clearer about what the issue is. So as these things get discovered in the universe, we then gain knowledge spiritually.
So that's the duality, the outer more of the inner. So they go hand in hand.
That just doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
me, because the Mayans had all this information.
But was it lost? I think they had it, but then it went underground.
Yeah, I mean, when that comet hit the world about 12,000 years ago, that abbreviated millions of years of information that we had accumulated.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Mayans lost theirs when the Christians came in and killed everybody.
Yeah.
There's still some memory of all that, though, too, though. So we're still learning more and more of everything.
Yeah, I believe that there is a lot to do with evolving and chakras, because as we're evolving, helping to heal others, our hand chakras are enlarging, and as we're evolving in communicating with others, our ear chakras are growing.
So let me ask
There is
this.
evolution.
Let me ask this question. When we lost all this knowledge, could that have made our chakras go back together? And then when we gained the knowledge, they split apart again?
I guess we'll never
We'll
know
never
for
know.
sure.
Okay.
Because it's soft tissue and energy, you know.
So it's,
You know, the
I'm just
organs
trying
that
to
it's
understand
attached
how
to.
that could happen, because we've had this knowledge before, now we've got it again, and you're saying it's making changes. So without the knowledge, things must have gone back to a more fundamental state within ourselves.
I would speculate that the knowledge could go dormant, but it doesn't disappear. Once it's come, once the knowledge
It's in the chakra
expands,
records.
it's going to
The
stay
Akashic records, I mean.
expanded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good theory.
Now,
Okay,
so
keep
going back
talking.
to the numbers, what is, I see the numbers kind of go all over the place in both columns, though. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So the black ones are all our conscious traits, and the red ones are unconscious.
And those are the ones you want to pay attention to.
Yes.
Because those are the ones that are making you make mistakes.
It's lovely when I've had the opportunity to do a reading for like a married couple, and they've been married for 20 or 30 years. And I tell one of the people about their unconscious traits, and they're saying, no, that's not me. But their spouse is sitting there saying, yes, it is. Because everybody knows our unconscious traits, except we don't always know them. So that's one of the fascinating things, is to be able to learn about them. And one of the other things that's important is when you have a trait and an unconscious trait, sometimes they're harmonious with each other and sometimes they're not.
Okay.
And it's when you find in a chart the things that are disharmonious, those are the things we struggle with. Because parts of us are fighting with other parts of us.
Right.
So it's really helpful to kind of jump forward in your learning, to look at your chart and look for things that might not be getting along with each other and work on those.
Well, there are some that seem to uniformly affect a lot of people, like your battle between your head and your heart.
Absolutely.
You know, some people are more plagued with it than others.
Yeah. So that's in human design, anything that is white, any of these shapes, but also the lines connecting, anything that is white is where you take on other people's energy when you're in their environment.
Oh, the empath.
And so the white areas are where we learn, because we're always sampling different. You go to a different environment, you're sampling different energy. So you can be very confused in your white areas, but over time you become very wise because you sampled things.
What is the bottom square?
This bottom
That's
square
everything
here?
there is white.
So in Josie's case, she's got about half white and half colored in, which is pretty usual. There are some people that would have all the shapes colored in, they have a big impact on the world, and they're not very good at picking up signals because they're mostly colored in, so they're here to broadcast out. Occasionally you meet a person that has no shapes colored in. It's only 1 out of 100 people that happens. And they are very receptive to understanding other people, but they're very changeable because they don't have anything colored in.
President Trump?
We don't want to talk about him because we can talk about Josie, and that will be much more enjoyable. So if somebody has this top one, this is the Inspiration Center. If somebody has this colored in and this as well, this is the Center for Organizing Data. If somebody had both of those colored in, they would have a big impact. They wouldn't be very good about being open to different ideas. They'd be pretty certain about, I know that, this is such and this is all there is.
Oh, kind of like what Einstein did in comparison, okay.
Yeah. So one of the things is nobody's designed to make decisions from their head. In human design, there's 5 types, and each type has a certain way that they make decisions that are right for them. But nobody's supposed to make decisions from their head. And in school, we're taught
The exact opposite.
Yeah, we're taught to shut off like our gut feeling, our intuition, and we're taught to use our head, which is a great place to explore information, but it's not where we get our truth.
Okay.
Takes years to unlearn.
It sure does, yep. So it was fascinating to be able to look up Josie's chart and see some things that indicate that she would be a wonderful person to host something such as this. And the first thing I want to point out is the sun is the biggest parts of her personality. And in Josie's conscious sun, it's gate 13, which is the gate of the listener. And the trait of this gate is that you would perhaps be out in a public place and a stranger would walk up to you and say, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I want to tell you my life story. And there's an energetic magnet that you have because gate 13 is so strong for you that people want to tell you their life story.
So how do you figure that out, though, that particular gate in this instance?
It's done, I just drew this, on a poster so we'd have it big enough, but it's done on a computer.
Okay.
So there's computer software that you put in somebody's birthday and the exact time that they're born and the location they're born. And it generates how the planets were lined up. At the moment of your birth is all the black numbers.
Okay.
3 months before you were born is where all the red numbers come in.
Why 3 months?
That's how the human design system explains it, that 3 months before you're born.
Maybe that's when the consciousness starts working more in the womb or something?
Yeah, the way I was told was that for the first 6 months of the pregnancy, the soul is shopping around, choosing a lifetime that they're going to lead, and at 3 months before the birth, that's when the soul makes the final decision and chooses which body to be born into.
Well, I don't think that's always true. I took a really good medium to my daughter's house to meet my grandson. And as we're sitting there, she's telling me, Ken, there's a little girl here waiting to be conceived. So
Some,
she wasn't
part of the
even,
life
she was
path.
never born.
there are some that know they want to be born into a certain family, that know they want to be there.
But a lot of times, certain people will say that the soul doesn't, maybe it's already made the choice, but it doesn't attach to the body until after the birth because it doesn't want to go through the trauma of the birth. So,
I've never
I don't know
heard
what's right, what's wrong. So.
Yeah.
But I think, that kind of, the spirit, though, kind of chooses the family. But I think, though, that the spirit doesn't make a definite life path until maybe about 6 months into the pregnancy. So, because we still have that choice of the free will, though, so we get to do the whole shopping around thing.
And some of those wind up being miscarriages because
Change our mind.
nobody chose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do the numbers jump around? I'm curious about that too.
I'm not sure why the numbers
Okay, they just
correspond to what they do. It would have been easier if they went in order when I was learning it, but eventually you learn them. It doesn't.
I'm looking at like the bottom one, I don't know if that Pluto is 7.2 versus 7.1.
Yeah.
And then you got other ones up there. There's huge differences between them. I'm not seeing one. I thought I did before, but
Yeah, so in this case, Pluto is correct. And on the conscious and the unconscious, Josie has number 7. The decimal point isn't really relevant for a beginner conversation. That's when you go really into depth. But Josie has in her Earth 7 as well. 7 is leadership. It shows up over here. And the black lines are the conscious, the red lines are unconscious. Sometimes it shows up on both sides, like over here. This is checkered, red and black, because this is showing up, in Josie's case, 48 is showing up on both of the Neptunes.
okay. Now, on that one you just pointed at, that's red and black, the
Yeah.
very far left one, the other part of it is white. So there's nothing there. It's something that she's got to fill in.
This is the 16. The white one is 16, and the one she has is 48. There's 2 gates that connect to make a channel. A channel would be something that connects 2 shapes. So Josie has, this one's called 1222, and that's a channel. When you have a channel, it's kind of like your superpower, because you carry that energy your whole life. When you have a half, which is called a gate, like this black one is half, those are themes about your relationships, because energy always wants to flow. So when you have a half,
There's no dynamite sticks there.
when you have a half and you meet somebody who has the other half, the energy says, yay, and you're attracted to a person. In Josie's case, and this isn't true of everybody, but she's got this energy flows right here between these 2 shapes, and it also flows between these 2 shapes. So these kind of connect to each other. And then she's got definition, the colored in over here, but it's not connected to this flow.
What does that tell you, though?
Yeah, what does it mean with my flows here?
It means you've got what we call a split definition. You've got 2 islands of energy within yourself that's present your whole life because it's colored in, but they don't connect to each other. So if you go out to a coffee shop, your 2 energies can connect to each other because you'll be in the aura of somebody who carries. In your case, this number 16 over here is enthusiasm. Somebody that has enthusiasm colored in their chart is going to make it that this energy can now flow and all your energy would be together. Enthusiasm's a really nice trait for you to be around. You have another...
Yeah, there's someone in my life that I feel better about everything when I'm with them.
That's
and
the
that-
little puppy?
No, this is the male.
Oh, okay.
In your case,
He's got a lot of enthusiasm.
yeah, so in your case, there's going to be a feeling like something's missing, and then you're with somebody that lets your energy flow equally, and you're going to feel more complete. Doesn't mean that it's the person is correct for you. They can be, but you could also feel that feeling with somebody
could
who's not good for you.
They could be a good friend. And an enthusiastic person that may not be good for me, I would see that, wouldn't I? Even though I feel better about me.
Yes.
Is this something somebody could do for themselves, or do they need somebody with your very in-depth knowledge about it?
You can read all kinds of things on the internet. You can look up a free chart, look up your chart, and you can start to read. The easiest thing is there's 5 types.
And what do they look under?
They look under Human Design free chart. And to find out what type you are is pretty simple and very, very useful. To find out all the little details of your personality is
What
more
type
than-
was she?
She's called a manifester. 9% of the population are manifestors. They're here to get things started.
What percentage?
9.
Okay.
And so one way to describe the manifestor is that you're like the cue ball on the pool table. You get things started. And then other people are supposed to notice things that you start and say, that looks like something I want to do. And then kind of take over. You're not here to start things and be responsible to finish everything.
No, I know.
You're a starter.
A lot of things that I get involved with finish. I've experienced finished. My numerological number is 279. That 9 is a theme. That, you know, I see things that end. You
Yeah,
know.
9's a completion number.
It's a completion
Yeah.
number.
Now, I'm curious about the chart. Can you do this to see if someone is a good match for you? Like,
Absolutely.
You can, okay.
And it's not that there's people that are perfect for you and people that aren't perfect for you, but there's some people that are going to be easier to get along
Okay.
with one person's chart and another person's chart. So you can see how confusing it might be or how comfortable it might
Do
be.
you use it in your own life?
I use it all the time.
Okay. Just how,
So it's similar to
You
numerology,
need to
though, where
know.
you can use it to see what
It
works
took
with
her
the
4 years of studying
yeah, I
to
know
get this good.
it's not something we're
But
going to do over the
to do a
weekend.
general understanding without all the details, just like doing a general astrological profile, you know, will give you some high points and low points. You'll have some idea.
At the very least, you can look up your chart and know how big an impact you have on people and how receptive you are to picking up other people's energy. Because you just see how much is colored in and how much is white.
So you can see your faults too, as much as you can find your strengths. Yes.
For full disclosure, I want to make a comment that we both work out of Northern Lights down in Middletown.
It's Portsmouth, yeah?
Portsmouth, okay. So that if somebody was looking for her, Northern Lights works.
Yeah.
Yes. And it is Lina Phaneuf.
Yeah.
And we still have a few more minutes. What are the other categories besides manifestor? What's the most common one?
The most common is generators. And there's like a hybrid generator and a regular generator. So 70% of the world are generators. They're here to feel a gut response that tells them yes or no to something. So the manifestor's here to get something started, and then 70% of the population is here to say, wow, that looks really interesting, and my gut tells me I want to do that. And then they're kind of the builders of the world.
What's the smallest percentage one?
The smallest percentage is the ones that are all white shapes, and they're called reflectors, and they're here to reflect a community. So the key for the reflectors is that if they're happy, they're in a community that's thriving. If they're not happy, they need to go save themselves and move somewhere else.
Okay,
you
the
know.
next one up.
And the other one is 20%. They're called projectors, and they are our guides. They're here to guide and direct other people. They have a really innate knowing about another person. They don't necessarily know themselves that well.
Is that what you are?
I'm actually a manifesting generator. I'm yours as well. We're the hybrids of the generators, where we're here to be the builders of the world, but with an added feature that we are kind of here to skip steps, to multitask. There's two kinds of generators. The other kind is the kind that likes to do things step by step, where we're, and I don't know your type, I wish I did, so I could comment on you.
Mine would be interesting. I was born in 78, so that would be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the manifesting generators, our caution is to be careful not to get too busy. to slow ourselves down just
Too
enough
many
that we're not.
hands in too many pots. Too many fingers in too many pots.
That's kind of humorous in a way. In '78, I was catapulted out of a tree, broke my back and broke my ribs and chopped my leg up with a chainsaw. And I'm a believer that we cause things to come into our lives for a reason. So I asked Spirit, what was the reason for this accident? We wanted you to slow down.
Oh.
I didn't.
They were whispering.
Yeah.
Finally, they stopped screaming.
They got tired of whispering, I think.
Yeah.
Right, so I take it all the different symbols, all the different planets of this solar system?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's all we have.
okay.
Is Planet 9 on there?
What is Planet 9?
That's the one that we haven't discovered yet.
Well, when we discover it, they'll find a place for it. What I'm noticing in this system and the way you're describing things, there's a place for soul and intuition. You know, it seems to take in that which we reach out for, you know, the spiritual.
Yeah, there's a place for everything I can think of. And there's usually maybe 3 places. So there's variations of different, you know, like you have leadership. This gate 7 is very strong for you. It's in your earth. Your earth is what grounds you. And on the unconscious, by the way, you have number 2 in your earth. And sometimes that can involve shopping. It's actually about distributing the resources. But sometimes people with gate 2 can find that they want to go shopping, you know, that makes you feel grounded.
Retail therapy.
Retail therapy, yeah.
Color therapy.
So what is all the
Is
numbers?
that common in females to go shopping?
Men can have it
Men
too.
have it too.
Okay.
They just try to hide it more.
So what do the different numbers mean in the different, like the different symbols? Because I see each box now has a bunch of numbers in it.
Yeah, so the 13 or the 7 or the 34, then there's a decimal point. The decimal points go from the numbers 1 through 6, and that modifies it even further. Okay. So the numbers, the 1 through 6 numbers are from the I Ching, and they're learning style.
Okay. So also that too, though, but in the diagram itself, the different
The center
shapes,
diamond.
though. What's with all the? Do those
All
numbers
these
though go
numbers?
from the key?
They correspond to this.
Oh, okay, okay.
So like 25 is white because Josie doesn't have it in here. But if somebody had 25 listed in one of their planets, then it would get colored in.
Oh, they already set numbers though in each symbol.
Yeah,
okay.
every chart is going to have the same numbers
Okay.
here, the same numbers here. So in other words, everybody has the same chart with a different amount of ingredients.
Coloring.
Yeah,
Okay.
like we all have this whole human design chart, but the question is, do you have it fixed?
Different intensity.
Yeah, intensity, variety, everything that's white varies depending on who you're with, the environment you're with. Everything that's colored in is fixed, and you can count on it your whole life.
Oh, okay.
And the ideal thing is to learn what's fixed within you, because that's where you should make decisions, because you can count on that.
Okay.
And it's easy for us to think that what we picked up from somebody else's energy is what we should make a decision out of.
Suppose you have a major happening in your life. Would those colored in fixed parts change? You're 45 years old, you get hit by a truck.
This is the last minute, so
There's
Brian.
debate whether a near-death experience will change your chart, and I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
okay. Lina Phaneuf, Human Design, and at Northern Lights
Phone
in
number.
Portsmouth.
How can they get a hold of you?
Phone number.
Okay.
My email is called meetyourblueprint@gmail.com.
And phone number 1-508-642-6614.
Okay.
And it's a really neat system.